The cholesterol-lowering medication Lipitor may increase the risk of diabetes in women. The FDA recently added this increased risk of diabetes to the warning on Lipitor. Our law firm is helping women taking Lipitor who have been diagnosed with diabetes. Please call 1-800-BAD-DRUG to discuss your rights with an attorney. As reported by Reuters, studies show Lipitor may cause an increased risk of diabetes in women. Call now for a free consultation. 1-800-BAD-DRUG. Non-attorney spokesperson.
Taking the diabetes drug Actos may increase the risk of bladder cancer. The FDA added a warning after studies show taking Actos may increase your risk of bladder cancer. Symptoms of bladder cancer include dark urine, urinary tract infections, painful or frequent urination, or the inability to urinate. You may be entitled to compensation if you or a loved one was diagnosed with bladder cancer after taking Actos. Please call 1-800-BAD-DRUG to discuss your rights. Call 1-800-BAD-DRUG now.
Were you or a loved one diagnosed with Parkinson's disease? Your illness may have been caused by exposure to a toxic weed killer, sprayed or crop dusted in nearby farms or fields. If you were diagnosed with Parkinson's and did farm or field work, lived near a crop dusting area, or worked with commercial weed killers,
call 1-800-856-9129.
You may be entitled to significant compensation. Call Ferrer, Perot, and Wansbro.
1-800-856-9129. 1-800-856-9129.
3903. That's 1-800-616-3903.
Suffered deep vein thrombosis, pulmonary embolism, blood clots, stroke, heart attack, or your loved one even died.
Call the Rely On Group at 800-896-1675. That's 800-896-1675.
Call a law firm you can trust. Call us at Science & Kirk.
When you're hurt in a car accident, do two things immediately. Get medical treatment and get a lawyer. Call someone you trust. Call Science & Kirk.
The doctors treat your injuries. We protect your rights. Call us for a free consultation.
Everybody knows when you're seriously injured in a car accident, you need a lawyer you can trust. Call Science & Kirk.
Call 1-800-LAWYERS or visit youhavealawyer.com. If you have a phone or a computer, you have a lawyer. 1-800-LAWYERS. Call a law firm you can trust. Call us at Science & Kirk.
After a car accident, you'd be surprised at how much it all costs. You really ought to have a lawyer with experience. Call somebody you trust. Call Science & Kirk.
If you've been seriously injured, you can trust our 35 years of experience to protect your rights.
Everybody knows when you're hurt in a car accident, you call somebody you trust. Call Science & Kirk.
Call 1-800-LAWYERS or visit youhavealawyer.com. If you have a phone or a computer, you have a lawyer. 1-800-LAWYERS.
Agent NDMA. Consult your physician prior to discontinuing use of any medication.
Please call 800-535-9765.
Attention diabetics, if you've taken the diabetes drug Avandia, listen carefully.
If a member of your family has suffered a heart attack, stroke, or even died while taking Avandia, the manufacturer may be to blame. Call the attorney Greg Jones right now.
If you or a loved one have taken this drug and were injured, call us right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Recent studies show that the diabetes medication Avandia may increase your risk of heart attack, stroke, and even death. If you or someone you love have taken Avandia and were injured, call the Greg Jones Law Firm right now for a free legal consultation. There are time deadlines to file a claim, so call us right now. There's absolutely no risk on your part. You don't owe us anything unless we're successful.
For a free legal consultation, call 800-950-8927. That's 800-950-8927. 800-950-8927.
Medical alert from Jacoby & Myers Law Offices for people who've had hip replacement. Johnson & Johnson has recalled 2 of its DePuy hip replacement devices because of their high failure rate. If you've had a hip replacement implant, you may need additional surgery. First, call your doctor immediately to see if your implant needs to be replaced. If it does, call Jacoby & Myers right away to see if you may be entitled to compensation. Jacoby & Myers, 1-800-411-4LAW. That's 1-800-411-4LAW.
Attention, Accutane warning. If you have Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, or inflammatory bowel disease, it may have been caused by the acne drug Accutane.
If you ever took the acne drug Accutane and you now suffer from Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, or inflammatory bowel disease, call the Rely On Group now.
Accutane victims have recently been awarded millions of dollars. Do not delay. There are time deadlines to file a claim. Attorneys in the Rely On Group network have successfully helped thousands of victims get the financial compensation they deserve.
Call the Rely On Group now to be connected with an experienced attorney for a free consultation and to see if you may qualify for financial compensation. There is absolutely no risk on your part. You don't owe us a penny unless we are successful.
If you or a loved one ever took Accutane and you now suffer from Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, or inflammatory bowel disease, call the Rely On Group at 800-903-9552.
Attention. If you took Depakote or Topamax while pregnant and your child was born with heart problems, spina bifida, cleft palate, facial deformities, or any limb deformities, call the Goldwater Law Firm.
If you took Depakote or Topamax while pregnant and your child was born with one of these birth defects, call us right now. You and your child may be entitled to compensation.
Call 1-800-481-4444. That's 1-800-481-4444.
The blood thinner Pradaxa may cause serious internal bleeding. The FDA is evaluating reports of serious bleeding events in patients taking Pradaxa. The manufacturer of Pradaxa linked at least 260 deaths to Pradaxa use since 2010. If you or a loved one took Pradaxa and suffered from gastrointestinal bleeding, cerebral hemorrhaging, or death, you may be eligible to receive compensation. Call 1-800-BAD-DRUG to discuss your rights with an attorney. Call now for a free consultation. 1-800-BAD-DRUG.
If you've been hurt in a car accident, don't sign anything until you call us at Science and Kirk.
After your car accident, just say, whoa, stop. Don't sign or record anything until you call Science and Kirk.
After your accident, be careful.
Well, the insurance company may want you to sign your rights away.
At Science and Kirk, we protect your rights.
Don't let the insurance company push you around. Call Science and Kirk.
Call 1-800-LAWYERS or visit youhavealawyer.com. If you have a phone or a computer, you have a lawyer. Call 1-800-LAWYERS.
Attention, this is a consumer health alert. A whistleblower lawsuit claims that the manufacturer of Actos may have underreported the instances of heart failure and bladder cancer. If you or someone you know has taken Actos and had a heart failure, been diagnosed with bladder cancer, or suffered any of these complications, call this number immediately. 1-800-800-7714. That's 1-800-800-7714. Protect your rights. Call 1-800-800-7714 right now.
If you suspect an injury caused by medical negligence, call 1-800-MALPRACTICE. Birth injury, 1-800-MALPRACTICE. Cancer misdiagnosis, 1-800-MALPRACTICE. Nursing home negligence, 1-800-MALPRACTICE. Hospital injuries, 1-800-MALPRACTICE. Call Science, Kirk, and Miles at 1-800-MALPRACTICE for your free consultation. Let's talk about it. Because if you have a phone, you have a lawyer. Science, Kirk, and Miles.
Non-lawyer paid spokesperson. Attention diabetes patients. Are you currently taking the diabetes drug Avandia? Have you or a loved one suffered heart problems such as a heart attack, stroke, or congestive heart failure? If so, call 800-589-7153. The FDA warns there is an increased risk of heart complications while taking Avandia. If you've suffered a heart attack, stroke, or congestive heart failure after taking Avandia, call 800-589-7153 right now. Non-lawyer paid spokesperson. After taking Fen-Phen, did you or someone you love have heart valve surgery? It's been more than a decade since the dangerous diet drug Fen-Phen was recalled. Its effects are still being felt today. A trust was established to pay for future medical costs for Fen-Phen injuries, such as heart surgeries. If you registered with the trust, you may be entitled to money. Call 800-589-7153. That's 800-589-7153.
If you've had a Johnson & Johnson hip implant, this message contains important information. Johnson & Johnson has recalled 2 of its DePuy hip implant products due to their high failure rate. Some patients are experiencing symptoms of pain, swelling, problems walking, loosening of the implant, hip fractures, or implant dislocation. If you've had a hip implant and experienced any of these symptoms, call Morelli Ratner immediately at 1-877-797-HIPS. You may be entitled to compensation. Morelli Ratner. Serious lawyers, serious results.
Have you or a loved one taken the diabetes treatment drug Avandia? Did you suffer a heart attack, congestive heart failure, or stroke, or has a loved one died after taking it? If so, Avandia may have been a factor, and you may be entitled to compensation for your injuries. Never stop taking any drug without first talking with your doctor. But if you've suffered a heart attack, congestive heart failure, or stroke, or a loved one has died after taking Avandia, call this number now for important information on your right to compensation.
Non-lawyer paid spokesperson. Attention diabetes patients. Have you taken the diabetes drug Actos or other drugs containing pioglitazone? The FDA warns that taking Actos may increase the risk of bladder cancer. Actos has also been linked to heart problems. Never stop taking medication before asking your doctor. If you or a loved one took any form of Actos and have suffered bladder cancer or heart problems, you may be entitled to money. Call 800-589-7153 for a free claim review.
Attention DePuy hip replacement patients. If you have had complications following hip replacement surgery, it may have been caused by a defective hip replacement implant.
DePuy Orthopedics has recalled hip replacement systems due to defects. If you or a loved one have had hip replacement surgery and needed to have the surgery redone, or you have had other complications, call the Rely On Group now. You may be entitled to financial compensation.
If you were fitted with a DePuy hip implant and you suffered hip pain, failure of the hip replacement joint, or other medical complications, you may be eligible for a cash award.
Call the Rely On Group right now to be connected with an experienced attorney for a free consultation and to see if you may qualify for financial compensation. There is absolutely no risk on your part. You don't owe us a penny unless we are successful.
If you or a loved one has had a DePuy hip implant and it has been removed, or it is causing you pain or other complications, call the Reliant Group at 1-800-238-2799.
Serious side effects have been linked to surgical mesh implants used to repair pelvic organ prolapse and stress urinary incontinence. Complications include infection, pain, urinary problems, bowel and bladder perforation, scarring, and additional surgeries. If you or a loved one develops serious complications after vaginal mesh implant surgery, you may be entitled to money damages. Call James Rollshouse and Associates toll-free at 1-800-943-LAW-1. That's 1-800-943-LAW-1.
Non-lawyer paid spokesperson. Attention cancer patients born before 1965. You may be entitled to compensation no one has told you about. If you have lung cancer, mouth or esophageal cancer, stomach or colorectal cancer, money may be available for you. Call Norris Injury Lawyers for a free confidential consultation. 1-800-REAL-LAW. That's 1-800-732-5529.
Attention, parents of children with cerebral palsy. If you suspect that a medical mistake may have occurred at or near the time of birth, call 800-822-CP-LAW for a free legal consultation. Financial compensation may be available for children diagnosed with cerebral palsy, Erb's palsy, or another birth injury. A lifetime of medical care can cost millions of dollars. Protect your child and find out what legal rights may be available. Call 800-822-CP-LAW today.
Attention women. Many bladder slings and transvaginal meshes can be extremely dangerous.
If you have a bladder sling or transvaginal mesh implant and have suffered any of these serious side effects, or if your implant has been surgically removed or repaired, call us right now. Cases have already settled and you may be entitled to substantial compensation.
For a free confidential review, call 1-800-477-1111. That's 1-800-477-1111.
Attention denture cream users. If you use Super Polygrip, Fixodent, or other denture cream and have been diagnosed with zinc poisoning, reduced copper levels, myelopathy, neuropathy, anemia, or bone marrow failure, or experience paralysis, numbness, tingling in the hands or feet, loss of sensation, or unexplained pain or weakness, you may have a claim. If you or a loved one use denture cream and suffer from neurological injuries, call now at 1-800-LAW-INFO for a free consultation. Don't delay. Call 1-800-529-4636 right now.
Attention, users of the diabetes drug Actos.
If you've taken Actos and now have bladder cancer, or if a loved one has died from bladder cancer after taking Actos, call the Goldwater Law Firm.
I'm attorney Bob Goldwater. If you took Actos and then developed bladder cancer, call us right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation.
If you have bladder cancer, Actos may be to blame. Call 1-800-993-1313. That's 1-800-993-1313. Attention women, certain transvaginal mesh implants have been pulled from the market.
I'm attorney Mary Meyer. If you or a loved one had vaginal prolapse surgery or any vaginal surgery that required a mesh implant, your mesh may be putting you at serious risk. Call me right now. Your initial consultation will be free, private, and discreet.
Call attorney Mary Meyer right now. Call 1-800-295-3000. That's 1-800-295-3000.
Surgery using pelvic mesh may cause severe complications. If you suffered complications after surgery using pelvic mesh, you may be entitled to compensation. Problems include additional surgery, severe pain, mesh erosion, or disintegration. Several manufacturers stopped selling some of their mesh products. Over 10,000 serious complications have been reported. You may be entitled to compensation. If you had complications after surgery using pelvic mesh, call 1-800-BAD-DRUG now for a free consultation. Call 1-800-BAD-DRUG now. Non-attorney spokesperson.
Attention! This is a health alert for anyone who's been diagnosed with mesothelioma, lung cancer, or asbestosis due to exposure from asbestos. This legal hotline has been established to help those individuals who have been exposed to asbestos to determine whether they qualify for financial compensation. If you or someone you love has been diagnosed with mesothelioma, lung cancer, or asbestosis due to exposure from asbestos, call this number immediately. Don't delay. Call now.
Attention, if you have a hip replacement, listen carefully.
If you have a DePuy or any other brand of metal-on-metal hip replacement and it's been removed or it's causing you problems, call the Goldwater Law Firm right now.
Certain hip implants can fail, causing you severe pain. Sometimes the hip implants need to be replaced entirely. Call us right now. You may be entitled to compensation.
Call the Goldwater Law Firm at 800-368-0300. That's 800-368-0300.
Attention, the blood-thinning drug Pradaxa has been linked to heart attacks, strokes, and internal bleeding.
If you took Pradaxa and then suffered a heart attack, stroke, or internal bleeding, call the Goldwater Law Firm right now.
If you or a loved one took this drug and were injured, call us right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation.
If you took Pradaxa and then suffered a heart attack, stroke, or internal bleeding, call 1-800-583-7777. 1-800-583-7777.
Attention parents of boys who have taken the antipsychotic drug Risperdal.
If your son took Risperdal and then developed gynecomastia, a condition in which boys develop female breasts, call the Goldwater Law Firm. A number of boys have already received out-of-court settlements from the manufacturer.
Both you and your child may be entitled to financial compensation.
If your son took Risperdal and then developed breasts, call 1-800-731-9000. That's 1-800-731-9000.
Attention, if you have a hip replacement, listen carefully.
If you have a DePuy or any other brand of metal-on-metal hip replacement and it's been removed or it's causing you problems, call the Goldwater Law Firm right now.
I'm attorney Bob Goldwater. Certain hip implants can fail, causing you severe pain. Sometimes the hip implants need to be replaced entirely. Call us right now. You may be entitled to compensation.
If you or a loved one is the victim of a defective hip implant, you may be entitled to financial compensation for your replacement, your pain and suffering, and your medical expenses.
Call us right now for a free legal consultation. We won't charge you anything unless we win your case.
If you or a loved one has had a DePuy hip replacement or any other brand of metal-on-metal hip replacement, call the Goldwater Law Firm right now.
Call 800-597-1441. That's 800-597-1441. 800-597-1441.
Non-lawyer paid spokesperson. Attention Actos users. The FDA warns taking the diabetes drug Actos for more than 1 year may increase the risk of bladder cancer. Symptoms include dark urine, frequent or painful urination, and urinary tract infections. Never stop taking medication before asking your doctor. If you or a loved one took any form of Actos and suffer from bladder cancer, you may be entitled to money.
Call 1-800-798-0091 for a free evaluation of your claim.
Attention kidney dialysis patients.
The FDA warns that the kidney dialysis solution Granuflow can cause heart attacks and strokes. If you've had a heart attack or stroke during or after dialysis, call the Goldwater Law Firm.
Call us right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation.
If you or a loved one had kidney dialysis and then suffered a heart attack, stroke, or even died, call 1-800-731-9000. That's 1-800-731-9000.
Attention parents of boys who took the drug Risperdal.
If your son took Risperdal and suffers from gynecomastia, a condition in which boys develop female breasts, call attorney Eric Chafin right now.
Call me right now. Both you and your child may be entitled to financial compensation.
A number of boys have already received out-of-court settlements from the manufacturer. If your son took Risperdal and then developed breasts, call 1-800-859-7500. That's 1-800-859-7500. Attention women. A brand new medical study shows that talcum powder can cause ovarian cancer. If you used talcum powder and were then diagnosed with ovarian cancer, call the Goldwater Law Firm.
Call us right now. You may be entitled to substantial compensation.
If you used talcum powder and were then diagnosed with ovarian cancer, or if a loved one has died from ovarian cancer after using talcum powder, call 1-800-949-3636. 1-800-949-3636.
Attention hip and knee replacement victims.
Certain hip and knee implants are defective. If your hip or knee implant has been removed or is causing you problems, call the Goldwater Law Firm.
I'm attorney Bob Goldwater. Certain hip and knee implant medical devices can fail, causing you severe pain. Sometimes the hip and knee devices must be replaced entirely. You may be entitled to financial compensation.
If you or your loved one is the victim of a defective hip or knee implant, you may be entitled to financial compensation for your replacement, your pain and suffering, and your medical expenses.
Call us right now for a free legal consultation. We won't charge you anything unless we win your case.
If you or a loved one has had a hip or knee replacement that's been removed or needs to be removed, or if your hip or knee replacement is causing you pain or swelling, call the Goldwater Law Firm.
Call 1-800-411-4871. That's 1-800-411-4871. 1-800-411-4871. Call now.
Attention women. A brand new medical study shows that talcum powder can cause ovarian cancer. If you used talcum powder and were then diagnosed with ovarian cancer, call the Goldwater Law Firm.
Call us right now. You may be entitled to substantial compensation.
If you used talcum powder and were then diagnosed with ovarian cancer, or if a loved one has died from ovarian cancer after using talcum powder, call 1-800-230-8000. That's 1-800-230-8000. Attention women. Many bladder slings and transvaginal meshes can be extremely dangerous.
If you have a bladder sling or transvaginal mesh implant and have suffered any of these serious side effects, or if your implant has been surgically removed or repaired, call us right now. Cases have already settled and you may be entitled to substantial compensation.
For a free confidential review, call 1-800-DRUG-LAW. That's 1-800-DRUG-LAW. 1-800-DRUG-LAW.
If you have inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, or ulcerative colitis, it may have been caused by the acne drug Accutane.
Several juries have recently awarded millions of dollars to Accutane victims, including awards of $7 million, $10.5 million, and $25 million.
If you or a loved one took Accutane and now suffer from inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, or ulcerative colitis, call 1-800-319-1000. That's 1-800-319-1000.
Attention! Cryo or cold therapy devices may cause severe permanent skin and nerve damage in some patients. Cold therapy devices are typically prescribed after surgical procedures to help reduce pain and swelling. However, some who have used these devices have suffered painful freezing injuries to the ankles, shoulders, knees, and other areas. If you or someone you love has suffered from nerve or skin damage after using a cryo or cold therapy device, call 800-589-7153. Non-lawyer paid spokesperson. Have you or someone you know suffered from Stevens-Johnson syndrome? It's a serious, sometimes fatal skin reaction that has been linked to many commonly used medications, including Advil, Dilantin, Children's Motrin, and Chantix. Stevens-Johnson syndrome can result in severe and permanent complications, such as blindness, extensive scarring, and respiratory problems. If you or someone you know has been hospitalized with Stevens-Johnson syndrome, call 800-589-7153.
If you or a loved one have a DePuy hip replacement, you may be entitled to financial compensation for medical tests and bills, repair surgery, pain, and suffering. Recently, the DePuy ASR hip implant was recalled. Please call the number on your screen now if you received a recall notice or letter from your doctor.
Please call 1-800-550-9469 now. That's 1-800-550-9469.
Ladies, have you suffered a femur or hip bone fracture after taking the osteoporosis medication Fosamax? If so, please know that the law firm of Weitz & Luxenberg may be able to help you file a claim against the manufacturer. Call Weitz & Luxenberg today at 1-888-411-LAWS if you've suffered a femur fracture after taking Fosamax. That's 1-888-411-LAWS. Non-attorney spokesperson.
Attention, this is an important legal update for Yaz, Yasmin, Biaz, or Ocella users.
Discussions to settle cases of women who suffered blood clot-related injuries while on Yaz and Yasmin have begun to take place. If you or a loved one has suffered a blood clot while using Yaz, Yasmin, Biaz, or Ocella, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Injuries include pulmonary embolism, deep vein thrombosis, stroke, and death. Time is limited to file your claim. Act now. The call and consultation are free.
Call 1-800-298-8552.
Attention, if you own a 2003 to 2007 Ford Super Duty truck with a 6.0-liter diesel engine, you may be entitled to money damages.
If you own one of these Ford diesel trucks, even if it hasn't caused you any problems, call us right now to see if you qualify for money damages.
If you own a 2003 to 2007 Ford Super Duty truck or Excursion with a 6.0-liter diesel engine, call 1-800-260-5959. That's 1-800-260-5959.
You put your trust in a nursing home, and then your loved one gets hurt. You're going to have questions. Could it have been prevented? How can this happen in a nursing home? Science and Kirk can investigate and find out what really went wrong.
I'm Ryan Science. When an incident occurs at a nursing home that brings up questions or cause for concern, call us immediately and let us investigate your case.
If you suspect nursing home abuse, call Science and Kirk at 1-800-LAWYERS or visit youhavealawyer.com.
This is important news for women diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Talcum powder may have caused your ovarian cancer. According to many studies, long-term use of talcum powder in products such as baby powder or shower-to-shower for feminine hygiene is linked directly to ovarian cancer. If you have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer, or if a loved one died from ovarian cancer after using baby powder or shower-to-shower products containing talcum powder, you may have a right to a cash award and medical expenses. According to testimony in court, a leading baby powder company knew decades ago about the link between their baby powder and ovarian cancer, but failed to warn women of the danger. If you are an ovarian cancer victim, or if a loved one died from ovarian cancer after using talcum powder, call the law offices of Davis & Crump at the number below right now to find out if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call the law offices of Davis & Crump right now. Our first consultation is free, and we don't get paid unless you get paid. Call now. Operators are standing by.
The Health Organization has designated glyphosate, the main ingredient in Roundup weed killer, a probable human carcinogen. Thousands of agriculture workers may have been exposed to serious health risks by using this dangerous product. You may be owed significant financial compensation from the manufacturer. Call and speak to an experienced attorney today for a free consultation. If you don't win, you pay nothing. If you or someone you love used Roundup and were diagnosed with cancer, call the number on your screen now. Don't wait. There may be time deadlines to file a claim.
Call 800-273-7500. That's 800-273-7500.
Message from the law offices of James Sokoloff on mesothelioma. Mesothelioma is a rare, malignant type of cancer in the lungs, usually associated with exposure to asbestos. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with mesothelioma, call the law offices of James Sokoloff now.
Call 800-578-7358. That's 800-578-7358.
Attention dialysis patients. The FDA has issued a Class 1 recall of Granuflo and Naturalite dialysis products used at Fresenius clinics and other dialysis clinics. These products used during dialysis can cause heart attacks or sudden cardiac death. If you or someone you know suffered a heart attack or sudden cardiac death during or after dialysis, you may be entitled to a cash award.
Call our lawyers at 888-513-1950 for a free confidential consultation.
If you or someone you know suffered a heart attack or sudden cardiac death during or after dialysis, do not delay. There are time limitations to file a claim. There is no obligation. If we don't get you a cash award, you pay nothing.
Call 888-513-1950. That's 888-513-1950. 888-513-1950.
You've been injured in a car accident and it wasn't your fault. Are you holding off on calling a lawyer? Afraid it might cost too much? With our no-fee guarantee, you don't pay us a dime until we win your case. At Berg Injury Lawyers, we make it easy to get the help you need when you need it. You make one call to us and let our team deal with the insurance company.
If you've been injured in a car accident, get Berg and get the no-fee guarantee. 1-800-400-BERG.
Attention mothers and fathers of children with birth defects. The antidepressant drug Zoloft has been linked to heart, brain, and spine damage and many other horrible birth defects in newborns.
Birth defects are a mother's worst nightmare. It's a terrible thing for a family to bear. If you are a mother or father and your child has a birth defect, the drug Zoloft may be to blame.
I'm attorney Bob Goldwater. If this has happened to you or a loved one, call us right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation.
Call the Goldwater Law Firm right now for a free legal consultation. You and your child may be entitled to financial compensation.
There are time deadlines to file a claim, so call us right now. There's absolutely no risk on your part. You don't owe us anything unless we're successful.
If you took Zoloft while you were pregnant and your child was born with a birth defect, call the Goldwater Law Firm right now.
Call the Goldwater Law Firm right now. Call 1-800-975-9600. That's 1-800-975-9600.
Caused your bladder cancer, you may be entitled to substantial cash compensation, but you must call now to find out more about your specific case.
The FDA issued a public notice to doctors and patients concerning serious injuries caused by transvaginal mesh, bladder mesh, pelvic sling, and bladder sling. Please call now if you had one of these devices implanted in the last 5 years. You may be entitled to a cash award. If you had a transvaginal mesh, bladder mesh, pelvic sling, or bladder sling in the last 5 years,
please call 1-888-913-9486 now.
Attention Pradaxa users. If you or a loved one took Pradaxa and were hospitalized, or your loved one died from internal bleeding after taking Pradaxa, call right now for a free consultation. The FDA warns that the blood thinner Pradaxa may cause serious and possible fatal internal bleeding. If you took Pradaxa and were hospitalized for internal bleeding, or your loved one died from internal bleeding after taking Pradaxa, call Jackson, Allen, and Williams at 1-800-9315-LAW for a free consultation. Call 1-800-9315-LAW.
Attention women. Recent reports have linked the use of talcum powder with an increased risk of ovarian cancer. Studies have shown that talc particles can travel up the reproductive system and attach to the ovaries, which could cause ovarian cancer. Talc is a mineral that, when used as a powder, absorbs moisture and minimizes friction. Many women have used talc in the forms of shower to shower or other body powders. If you or a loved one have used talcum powder and were diagnosed with ovarian cancer, you may be entitled to financial compensation and medical expenses. Call the Relion Group right now to be connected with an experienced attorney for a free consultation. There is no risk on your part, and you don't owe us a penny unless we are successful. Do not delay. There are time deadlines to file a claim. If you or a loved one were diagnosed with ovarian cancer after using talcum powder, call the Relion Group at 800-917-8732. That's 800-917-8732.
Attention kidney dialysis patients. If you became a dialysis patient after open heart surgery, you may have a claim for money damages. A drug commonly used during heart surgery has been found to double the risk of kidney failure. Unfortunately, you may not know if you were given this drug. But if you've been forced to undergo kidney dialysis after open heart surgery, call now for a free review of your claim. Call 800-940-4106 for a free case evaluation. That's 800-940-4106.
The antidepressant drug Paxil has been linked to heart, brain, and spine damage, and many other horrible birth defects in newborns.
If you are a mother or father and your child has a birth defect, the drug Paxil may be to blame.
If you took the drug Paxil while you were pregnant and your baby was born with a birth defect, call us right now. You and your child may be entitled to financial compensation.
Call 1-800-382-1616. That's 1-800-382-1616. Call now.
You get hurt in a car accident, you need to call Signs & Kirk.
There are a lot of important reasons you should call us.
Reason number 14. The insurance company may try to rip you off.
The insurance company wants you to receive as little money as possible. Who's going to be on your side?
Signs & Kirk will fight for you.
For 40 years, Science & Kirk has been helping injury victims get all the benefits they really deserve. Call 1-800-LAWYERS or visit youhavealawyer.com. If you have a phone or a computer, you have a lawyer. Call 1-800-LAWYERS.
Attention Pradaxa users. If you have taken Pradaxa, a widely prescribed blood thinner, you may be at a higher risk for serious bleeding or heart attack. If you or a loved one have taken Pradaxa and suffered internal bleeding, gastrointestinal bleeding, kidney bleeding, brain hemorrhaging, heart attack, or death, call the Reliant Group. You may be entitled to a significant cash award. Don't be a victim. Get the help you deserve.
Call the Reliant Group at 1-800-925-1653.
It's a terrible thing when your child is born with a birth injury. So many questions. Could this have been prevented? Science & Kirk can investigate and find out what really happened.
If your child has been diagnosed with cerebral palsy, Erb's palsy, or other injury, and you suspect a medical error, call us immediately for a free consultation.
If your child was born with a birth injury, call Science & Kirk at 1-800-LAWYERS or visit youhavealawyer.com.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson. If your child was born with cerebral palsy, Erb's palsy, or any other serious birth injury, call the number on your screen without delay. Birth injuries may be caused by medical mistakes or even exposure to certain chemicals during pregnancy. If your child was born with cerebral palsy, Erb's palsy, or any other serious birth injury, call now for a free consultation. Caring for a disabled child can be financially and emotionally challenging. You have legal options that could help you secure the money you will need to care for your child. Call now to discuss your rights, as you may be entitled to compensation. Again, if your child was born with cerebral palsy, Erb's palsy, or any other serious birth injury, call 1-800-372-0007, day or night. That's 1-800-372-0007. Call now.
Attention Xarelto users. If you've suffered serious internal bleeding, including bleeding of the brain or gastrointestinal system after taking Xarelto, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. The blood-thinning drug Xarelto has been linked to an increased risk of internal bleeding in some patients. If you or a loved one has taken Xarelto and been hospitalized for internal bleeding, call 800-900-7704 for a free and confidential evaluation of your claim.
Attention parents of boys who have taken the antipsychotic drug Risperdal.
If your son took Risperdal and then developed gynecomastia, a condition in which boys develop female breasts, call the Goldwater Law Firm. A number of boys have already received out-of-court settlements from the manufacturer.
Both you and your child may be entitled to financial compensation.
If your son took Risperdal and then developed breasts, call 1-800-963-2000. That's 1-800-963-2000.
Attention patients who have had metal-on-metal hip replacement surgery. If you or a loved one are suffering complications from surgery involving a metal-on-metal hip implant, call the Sentinel Group now. You may be entitled to compensation from the manufacturer. Over time, these implants may lead to metallosis caused by heavy metal toxicity. Call the Sentinel Group right now for a free and confidential conversation. Even if your implant hasn't failed, you may be entitled to compensation. Call the Sentinel Group now.
Attention users of the blood pressure drug Benicar.
The FDA warns that the drug Benicar has been linked to severe intestinal problems, including abdominal pain, vomiting, chronic diarrhea, sudden weight loss, and sprue-like enteropathy. If you suffered any of these symptoms after using Benicar, call the Goldwater Law Firm.
Call us right now. You may be entitled to substantial compensation.
Call 1-800-735-9000. That's 1-800-735-9000.
Attention dialysis patients. If you suffered a heart attack or stroke, or your loved one died during or shortly after receiving dialysis, you may have a claim for money damages. Fresenius Medical Care, the nation's largest operator of dialysis centers, failed to warn patients of the risk of heart attack or stroke from products they use during dialysis. If you suffered a heart attack or stroke, or your loved one died during or shortly after receiving dialysis, call 1-800-222-9128 for a free consultation. Call 1-800-222-9128 right now.
Mesothelioma is a serious form of cancer resulting from exposure to asbestos. Millions of Americans have been exposed at construction sites, industrial facilities, shipyards, and steel mills. Family members are at risk simply by breathing asbestos fibers brought home on a worker's clothing. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer, you may be entitled to substantial money damages. Call 800-800-8959 for a free confidential evaluation.
Attention kidney dialysis patients.
If you or a loved one suffered a heart attack, stroke, or even died within 72 hours of receiving kidney dialysis, call 1-800-298-5200.
Call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation.
If you or a loved one had kidney dialysis and then suffered a heart attack, stroke, or even died, call 1-800-298-5200. That's 1-800-298-5200.
Attention, the FDA warns that the diabetes drug Actos has been linked to bladder cancer.
If you've taken Actos and have been diagnosed with bladder cancer or suffered heart failure or a heart attack, you may be entitled to compensation. Call us right now.
I'm attorney Roy Walther. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Don't wait. Call us right now.
Call 1-800-395-7600. That's 1-800-395-7600.
The FDA is evaluating new data linking Byetta, Januvia, and Victoza to pancreatic cancer. Our law firm is currently investigating claims for those diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Also, we are investigating claims for those taking Byetta who are diagnosed with thyroid cancer. If you or a loved one took Byetta, Januvia, or Victoza and were diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, or took Byetta and were diagnosed with thyroid cancer, call 1-800-BAD-DRUG for a free confidential consultation. Call 1-800-BAD-DRUG now. I'm attorney spokesperson.
Attention, parents of boys who took Risperdal.
Risperdal has been linked to gynecomastia, a medical condition in which boys develop female breasts. If your son took Risperdal and suffers from gynecomastia, call Meyer Blair now.
Listen, your son's gynecomastia may have been preventable. Do something about it. Call me right now. Your family's financial compensation may be substantial.
Call 1-800-912-2929. That's 1-800-912-2929.
Have you or someone you care for received the unthinkable diagnosis of mesothelioma? How will you cover your medical bills and protect your family? The Johnson Law Group can help. U.S. compensation trust funds have initial funding of $30 billion to financially help mesothelioma victims. These trust funds were established specifically for you. You've worked hard your whole life. Let us fight for you. Call the Johnson Law Group today for a free case evaluation. Call 1-800-458-1100. I'm a paid non-attorney spokesperson.
The U.S. bankruptcy courts have established trusts to compensate those diagnosed with lung cancer or mesothelioma. $30 billion has been set aside for those suffering from asbestos-related diseases. Thousands of people have already received compensation. To learn more, contact us now for a free consultation. Call 800-359-1853. For nearly 2 decades, we've been fighting for people with lung cancer and mesothelioma. Call 800-359-1853. Lung cancer and mesothelioma. Don't fight it alone.
Attention, women who suffered serious injuries associated with birth control drugs. The drugs Yaz, Yasmin, and Yasmin-L are responsible for serious injuries like blood clots, embolisms, and more. Many injured women have already filed and settled cases against the manufacturer. Cases are settling right now for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Millions more have been set aside for future settlements. Don't wait. If you suffered any of these injuries after taking Yaz, call 1-800-798-9986. Cases are settling now. Don't miss your chance to get cash compensation.
Infuse, a product used in spinal fusion surgery, may cause severe side effects. Side effects include uncontrolled bone growth, radiating pain in the legs and arms, male infertility, severe inflammation, airway compression causing difficulty breathing, and death. Call 1-800-BAD-DRUG to discuss your rights with an attorney. If you or a loved one has had spinal fusion surgery using infused bone graft and suffered any of these problems, you may be entitled to compensation. Call now for a free consultation. 1-800-BAD-DRUG. Non-attorney spokesperson.
Attention, this is a consumer health alert. Medical journals are reporting some metal-on-metal hip replacements are linked to implant failures, metallosis, cobalt toxicity, metal poisoning, pseudotumors, and other serious injuries. Some hip replacement devices have even been recalled. If you've had a metal-on-metal hip replacement, you need to call this number immediately. 1-800-800-8815. That's 1-800-800-8815. Protect your rights. Call 1-800-800-8815 right now.
Attention women who have taken birth control. The commonly prescribed birth control pills Yaz, Yasmin, and Ocella have been linked to serious injuries.
If you or a loved one have taken Yaz, Yasmin, or Ocella and suffered deep vein thrombosis, pulmonary embolism, blood clots, stroke, heart attack, or your loved one even died, call the Rely On Group at 1-800-860-0905. That's 1-800-860-0905.
Surgery using transvaginal mesh may cause severe complications. If you suffered complications after surgery using transvaginal mesh, you may be entitled to compensation. Problems include additional surgery, severe pain, infection, vaginal scarring, mesh erosion or disintegration, pain during sexual intercourse. Over 1,000 serious complications have been reported. You may be entitled to compensation if you had complications after surgery using transvaginal mesh. Call 1-800-BAD-DRUG now for a free consultation. Call 1-800-BAD-DRUG now.
It's a terrible thing when your child is born with a birth injury. So many questions. Could this have been prevented? Science and Kirk can investigate and find out what really happened.
If your child has been diagnosed with cerebral palsy, Erb's palsy, or other injury, and you suspect a medical error, call us immediately for a free consultation.
If your child was born with a birth injury, call Science and Kirk at 1-800-LAWYERS or visit youhavealawyer.com.
Attention type 2 diabetes patients. Are you one of millions currently taking the diabetes drug Avandia? Have you or a loved one suffered heart problems such as congestive heart failure? The FDA warns Avandia users of the potentially increased risk of heart complications while taking the drug. Never stop taking any medication without consulting your doctor. But if you've suffered a heart attack or if a loved one has died after taking Avandia, call our lawyers at 1-800-798-6416 for a free evaluation of your claim.
Have you applied for Social Security disability? If you have, you've probably been denied. Most applications are, and few people realize that a lawyer can help. We know what you're going through, and we know how badly you need the money you deserve, especially in these tough economic times. Having a lawyer on your side means getting help with the whole process and getting the answers and help you and your family need. And you don't pay us a penny unless we get money for you. Denied SSD benefits? Pick up the phone and let us help you get the money you deserve.
Non-lawyer paid spokesperson. Attention women using the Mirena IUD contraceptive. Did your IUD shift or migrate after being implanted? According to the FDA, the Mirena IUD may puncture the uterus, causing organ damage, bleeding, and fertility loss. If complications with your Mirena IUD required surgery, the manufacturer may be liable for your medical bills, pain and suffering, and more. Call our lawyers at 800-589-7153 for a free confidential claim review. Did you or a loved one suffer pancreatic cancer after taking the diabetes drugs Byetta or Januvia? A recent study warns that these drugs may cause potentially fatal health problems, including pancreatic cancer. Never stop taking medication before asking your doctor. But if you or a loved one suffered pancreatic cancer after taking Byetta or Januvia, the manufacturers may be liable for your damages.
Call our lawyers at 800-382-5291 for a free evaluation of your claim. non-lawyer paid spokesperson.
Attention women. Many bladder slings and transvaginal meshes can be extremely dangerous.
If you have a bladder sling or transvaginal mesh implant and have suffered any of these serious side effects, or if your implant has been surgically removed or repaired, call us right now. Cases have already settled and you may be entitled to substantial compensation.
For a free confidential review, call 1-800-254-8888. That's 1-800-254-8888.
Attention Just for Men hair dye users. If you suffered a chemical burn on your scalp or face, you may be entitled to compensation. A growing number of Just for Men hair dye consumers are reporting symptoms such as swelling, sores and blistering, burning and itching, and permanent scarring. If you had any of these chemical burn symptoms after using Just for Men hair dye, call 800-900-7704 for a free and confidential evaluation of your claim.
Attention, patients who have had metal-on-metal hip replacement surgery. If you or a loved one are suffering complications from surgery involving a metal-on-metal hip implant, call the law firm of Avram Blair & Associates now. Many metal-on-metal hip implants have been recalled by the manufacturer. These hip implants can fail, often requiring corrective surgery or a complete removal of the implant. Over time, these implants may lead to metallosis caused by heavy metal toxicity. If you have had metal-on-metal hip implant surgery, call Avram Blair & Associates right now.
Attention, if you have a hip replacement, listen carefully.
If you have a DePuy or any other brand of metal-on-metal hip replacement and it's been removed or it's causing you problems, call the Goldwater Law Firm right now.
Certain hip implants can fail, causing you severe pain. Sometimes the hip implants need to be replaced entirely. Call us right now. You may be entitled to compensation.
Call 800-721-1881. That's 800-721-1881.
Non-lawyer paid spokesperson. Attention women who had bladder or prolapse surgery. The FDA reports dangerous complications resulting from some synthetic mesh used in prolapse and bladder surgeries. If you suffered serious complications from the synthetic mesh used in your bladder or prolapse surgery, you may be entitled to money. Call our lawyers for a free confidential consultation. 800-207-0211. That's 800-207-0211. Non-lawyer paid spokesperson. Attention women who suffered blood clots after taking Yaz, Yasmin, Ocella, or Biaz. These birth control drugs have been linked to serious and potentially fatal health problems such as blood clots, deep vein thrombosis, pulmonary embolism, and stroke. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with any of these problems after taking Yaz, Yasmin, Ocella, or Biaz, call 800-589-7153. Our lawyers are settling cases right now.
Attention women who have been implanted with a pelvic mesh device, commonly called a bladder sling. If you have had or are scheduled to have a surgery to repair the mesh device, you may be entitled to a significant cash award. The FDA has warned that these devices may cause pain, scarring, infections, loss of bladder control, and other serious injuries. In some cases, the device may puncture nearby organs, leading to multiple replacement and correction surgeries. Recently, a South Dakota woman was awarded $11.1 million for her pain and suffering. To find out if you may have a case, call the Rely On Group today for a free consultation. You don't owe us a penny unless we are successful. If you or a loved one have had complications with an implanted pelvic mesh device or bladder sling, call the Rely On Group at 1-800-604-3998. That's 1-800-604-3998.
Non-lawyer paid spokesperson. Were you allowed to take the antidepressant Wellbutrin during early pregnancy? Was your child born with a heart defect? If so, call 800-589-7153. A recent study suggests that taking Wellbutrin during early pregnancy may increase the risk of heart defects in newborns. If you took Wellbutrin during early pregnancy and your child was born with a heart defect, call our lawyers at 800-589-7153.